What's up guys, it's Noah here with Custom RC Mods, and when I left from college a few weeks ago, I told you to give me a week or two just to get the fleet back in order before I shoot the November fleet update. Well, it's been a little bit since then, and it's the first week of December now, but it's finally time to go ahead and release that video about this update of the fleet. Because there is a lot that's happened in the past few weeks, and I just really want to make sure you guys are in the loop as always. This is going to be the same exact format as all my fleet update videos, which is basically just going through every single aircraft in the fleet one by one, talking about what's new and anything like that on top of that as well. Let's go ahead and waste no time, get right on into it. Alright, so first things first, we've got the FT Explorer here. Normally this thing hangs right up there, however, I've been working on it a little bit. It has had its fair share of mishaps, even though it is a relatively new aircraft. One of those main things is this motor system right here, which might have a bent shaft, or the prop might be terribly out of balance, although I checked both of those things before I flew it. So I'm not totally sure what's happening, but the motor keeps exploding off of the motor firewall right here. As you can see, that little 3D printed piece in there is broken, so I need to go ahead and 3D print another piece like that and rebuild the motor pod on top of that. So hopefully we can go ahead and get this thing flying very, very soon. I have yet to make a video about this specific plane for itself, but hopefully I'll have the chance to do that here in the very near future. Minor setbacks, it's not a plane in pristine condition. However, we can go ahead and get that thing flying, and hopefully it will be a lot of fun to make videos with here on the channel. Simple Soar, I'm not even going to talk about. I have not flown that. I still have plans to, but it just haven't really come to fruition recently. Then my FT Goblin, I actually did fly this. This is the very first plane I flew after 3 months of not flying while I was away at college. And it flew pretty well altogether. You can see there's a little bit more dirt on the bottom because of the aeration pellets put in the ground at my park, which is just really screwing things up, making it a big muddy mess. But other than that, flying real great. Mini Recruit, not too much to say about that. I think I've pretty much retired that here on the channel, as you guys might know. Same for the FT Bloody Baron and the FT Bloody Wonder. Both great planes, both in flying condition. However, again, I have not flown them since, so I don't really have a lot to update on as well. Now, for my Custom RC Mods Walmart wing here, I actually took the motor and ESC out of this plane and put it in my 3D printed plane over there that I'll get into at the end of this video. So I need to go ahead and get another motor system, but other than that, I mean, again, I haven't flown it, so there's not too much to update on there as well. So that's it for over there. Now we're going to get into more interesting things. For my Rustler, still need some shock caps and some new tires to make this thing fully functional and running like new. But other than that, I mean, it's still a lot of fun, and it still definitely works. Moving on to my FT Mustang, guys. The Mustang, you guys probably saw my recent video I posted literally right before this, just like within an hour or so. I had a pretty nasty crash. Here's the extent of the damage. Wings actually are in pretty good shape. The bottom is kind of messed up right here. My prop has been literally smashed and obliterated. But this servo right here has been sticking, meaning that you cannot fly this thing reliably at all because you're always fighting back and forth against this servo. So very, very annoying and frustrating on this airplane that I just built. And I probably will just end up rebuilding a whole new one just because there's so much dirt and grime and wrinkles in this plane that it's really not worth it. I like all my planes to look very nice. I think they definitely have an aesthetic aspect to having this plane with me, so I guess I'm just going to go ahead and rebuild it, but not before I give this thing a proper death, and that might be foreshadowing to a later video if that comes to fruition once again. Anyway, FT Aero, I think I had a bind issue because when I went to go fly this a few days ago, it wasn't bound to my controller for some reason, so I need to go ahead and rebind it, but then it'll be all ready to fly. I'm probably going to go ahead and put a different prop on there. I got a whole stash of 6-inch props right here, like these Emax, like Avon props or something like that, that look really interesting, and I might just try on there. I got a 6-inch quad finally, so I will be interchanging some of those props with the 6-inch prop on the FT Aero. For the Mini Mustang, it has had a few crashes here, but it's still flying really well. I've actually really appreciated how this thing's flown, and I've gotten the CG dialed in, meaning that it's a lot easier to fly now, so that's always good, and I'm really happy for that all around. So I guess we'll see how that flies and how much longer it lasts. But you can see a lot of wrinkles, but that's just kind of how it goes with the mini planes. They're a little bit harder to fly altogether. Have not touched the FT Bushwhacker, so I'm not going to talk that much about that. But I am going to talk about the Nano Goblin here, which made the commute back from college, but has not been flown. I think the battery for it is still in storage mode, so I still need to do that, and I really do want to fly it. And I might even put digital FPV in it, but I'm not totally sure about that as well. And for the Champ right here, I don't really have a lot to say about it. Haven't flown it yet, but I probably will here in the near future. And I think the Sport Cub S, yeah, the Sport Cub S is down here. Still needs a new motor and a new fuselage, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So I probably will do that here in the near future as well. And up here, before we move on to the quad department, we've got the VersaWing. I'm waiting on another prop for it. As you guys saw in the last video, I dinged up the prop pretty bad in a few ground strikes and a little crash. But just a new prop for it, and this thing is actually flying really, really nicely. I still need to get a BEC for the LED lights in there, just so I don't burn up my ESC instantaneously with all those LEDs in there that'll be running off the internal voltage regulator. So either way, we're going to have to put that on hold as far as night flying goes. But you really don't do a lot of night flying in the winter anyways, so either way. Moving on to the custom RC mods quad department, and the one main development in this section is the digital FPV. As you can see right here, I've got these DJI digital FPV goggles that I'm actually going to be replacing my analog and digital. I'm just going to do it all. This is going to be my single only pair of goggles that I own. I've got my Fat Shark goggles right here that I'm actually selling on eBay right now. So I'm not going to be using those anymore, even though they have served me well. And I honestly think that they might be a little bit more comfortable than the DJI goggles. But I'll make a whole video on that just because there's a lot to talk about that I'm not going to cover in this video here. We've got a few new quads to talk about. First things first, let's just go around the top row here. I'll talk about which ones are staying analog and which ones are going digital at the moment here. You might have noticed that I actually did downsize my fleet quite a bit. I sold like 4 or 5 of my analog quads, the Chameleon, the QAV-R, I sold the Space One Meteor, I sold the Schizo Nova, and a few other notable ones, some micros here and there. All my Tiny Hawks are out the door. So yeah, it's been a little bit different, but definitely moving towards all my custom built drones here as well. So yeah, we got the QAV-R 6-inch right here, rocking these Azure power props. These are super cool, and they're nice and quiet, and they're very, very smooth, and they just look really badass on there as well. So I mean, I haven't really flown it yet extensively, but the main problem with the old props I was running is that the pitch was way too high. The voltage sag was insane. So I'm moving on to these because obviously on a long range quad, you're going to want that nice, efficient, smooth prop feel, and especially for the long range experience. I'm keeping a session mount on there for now, just because that's what I have, and that's what's going to keep this thing light and flying for a long time. And this one also is staying analog. Moving on to my mid-tier build right here, as you can see, it's pretty unchanged. I have flown it quite a bit. It's actually been my most flown quad, I'd say, as I've gotten home, because you can see there's a few of them that need some work coming up here as well. And it is going to be staying analog. It's going to kind of be my beater quad, if you want if you can, I guess, understand what I'm saying with that. I want a quad that I don't have to worry too much about losing in a tree if I'm trying new maneuvers. So that's where it's going to be nice just to keep that analog. And that's pretty much going to be the only quad, hopefully permanently, that will be staying analog for the moment at least. So yeah, that one does have a Hero 8 mount on it. And I mean, I don't really have too much to say about that. I might switch it back to a session depending on the thing that I'm using it for, but Hero 8 for the moment. And I did lower my camera tilt on these two, at least to now down to 20 degrees, in hope to increase flight time, just because of course you're not traveling as fast, and obviously hopefully that will make my flying a little bit more smooth because I'm not so rushed to make sharp turns and things like that and shift my momentum, just because I'm going a little bit slower. Moving on to my ultimate build here. Now this thing is, it's obviously a work in progress. As you might be able to see in there, we've got a Caddx Vista, a digital system with the digital camera up front. The one thing you're waiting on obviously is a set of motors. And I replaced the iFlight CyberZing motors with a pair of Newbie Drone Flow motors. And this is actually going to be a 6S quad as well. So this one is running a 24 550 kV motors that I'm going to motor scale down to like 1800 kV. But these are actually going to be native 1850 kV Newbie Drone flow motors going on this quad here as well. And I did get some new 6S batteries in here as well that I'm really excited to make some content with there on top of that. So I also went ahead and added a GPS right here, the Race Day Quads Mini 8 GPS, and a few other little bells and whistles, a new little capacitor that I'm pretty proud of how I mounted that on the end there. But yeah, that's enough to say about the ultimate build. I think altogether that thing's going to be awesome when I get it all put together. But that Newbie Drone order has been delayed and delayed. It's been in the mail for like 2 weeks. So again, just getting a little impatient, but either way, let's go ahead and move on. Now my dietone Taycan Cineup, as you can see, is also in parts right here. The rest of the ducts and pieces are down over there. But I did go ahead and make some huge upgrades on this quad right here. First things first, I went ahead and put another Caddx Vista in this quad right here for digital use. This thing is going to be a lot of fun for flying around the backyard, up in the trees and things like that. So I cannot wait to fly that thing full digital, and you'll definitely be getting some content on that. I also went ahead and upgraded my motors to T-Motor 1507 2700 kV motors for 6-cell use. So again, this is going to be a 6S quad just for greater efficiency, which is really important for Cineups and flight time and things of that nature. I'm just waiting on an ESC for this thing right here, which is going to be a 32-bit 40 amp ESC that will be better suited for 6S use. So altogether, just waiting for that piece, and then this thing should go back together and it'll be a great little flyer there, and I'll have a lot of videos coming out on that as well on top of that. Anyway, moving on right here, very similar story here with the Multi-Rotor Mania Reaper. Same ESC is still in the mail. I ordered 2 of them, one for each of these drones, 40 amp 32-bit ESC for 6-cell use. I've got the same motors on here, however they are quickly fading. These are just cheap Hawksky motors that have worked fine, but again, just trying to make those upgrades when they're needed, just because of course you can't upgrade everything at once. So you can see right here I've got my Caddx Vista. It actually barely fits. The reason that there's so much space in the stack right now is because I don't have an ESC in there, but it'll be pretty interesting to see how that actually goes all together there, but I think it'll fit just fine. And then of course we've got the DJI digital camera way off the front there, which might be a bad move, but I have printed a little TPU protector for the lens, and those lenses are rather inexpensive anyways, so if I break them, I guess it won't be the end of the world, but I definitely wouldn't like that. Anyway, moving on to my Vortex 150 here, guys. This thing is running Crossfire now with the linear antennas on this 3D printed mount. I actually really like how this has been flying. It's been a great quad since a lot of my others have been in the shop recently. I just have been flying this a lot. As you can see, it's got a lot of mud and dirt from crashing around in that muddy field where I do my flying at. So, I mean, I guess it's fun. I do need to give it a cleaning, but not too much to say about it on top of that. So let's go ahead and mount that back up there on the wall. For the Tiny Hawk Freestyle, I have been itching to get this thing to fly. I don't really know what to say about it because I don't have a lot of flying experience with it, but my little TBS Unify Nano in there on the sled hasn't been powering up for some reason. It's some sort of wiring issue that I have yet to figure out, but I'm also probably going to be adding a Runcam Nano 2 on there just for a better camera because these little stock cameras aren't the best on top of that as well. Now, speaking of Runcam Nano 2s, I went ahead and upgraded the Blade Torrent 110 to a Runcam Nano 2 as well. I also had a pretty bad crash with this thing straight into a tree. So unfortunately, I did have some, I guess, repercussions of that. The OSD is not showing up. There might be something wrong with the flight controller. I'm not totally sure, but yeah, the problems never stop coming with these micros, and it seems like I can never keep them flying consistently like I can with the 5-inch quads there as well. Let's go ahead and speed through the rest of these here. Of course, we've got the 1S Toothpick right here. Sorry, 1S Toothpick that I've been flying actually a lot recently. I went ahead and put a little basic Inductrix FPV Plus little mini all-in-one stack right there for the camera. And it's been great. It's nice and lightweight. Doesn't have an OSD, but I think that's fine. And you'll definitely be seeing another video on this coming very, very, very soon. Moving on to the Beta 75X here, guys. This quad has been great. It does have a Runcam Nano 2 in there as well that I upgraded to just for obviously the camera quality. But the one main issue with it, as you might be able to see right there, the frame is actually falling apart. So I need to go ahead and get a new frame. Before I proceed too much, I did put JESC RPM filtering on there. that has actually almost doubled my flight time, which is insane. It's gone from like 2 minutes to like 3 minutes and 30 seconds when I'm flying conservatively. So good stuff from that there as well, but we're always looking to improve the flight times of these little whoops. Haven't done much flying with the King Kong Tiny 7 since that review. I've just been, keeping it here. So whenever you win that thing, this is going to be just shipped out to you, and it is in fully functional condition. I've got the original box right there, and I've got all the props and canopies and things like that in my parts storage as well. So again, not too much to say about that thing as well. That giveaway is still going to be live until December 12th, which is about a week from today. Moving on to the Inductrix FPV Plus. I need to get some new props for this because they just keep shooting off and they're all dinged up. As you can see, I actually have a battery plugged into this thing. It must be all the way dead. I'm not totally sure with this thing, guys. It's a lot of fun to fly, but definitely doesn't stay flying for long. It tends to break. The frame is just not that durable altogether. I do have another frame right here. Where is it? Right here. That I can go ahead and put onto it that's brand new, and a new flight controller. But either way, that's a fun quad to fly. I'll probably be making a video on it soon, but I don't really know what to say about it for the most part. Moving on down here to the FTGremlin. I'm actually officially retiring this thing from my fleet for the moment. I just don't have much of a reason to fly it because the Blade Torrent 110 is a lot better, and I don't know. It's a piece of history almost, just because it's the very first quad I ever got, and very first brushless acro quad that is. It's a lot of fun. I'm probably just gonna put it on display just so I don't break it and kind of ruin it. So again, retiring this quad there as well. A few other quads I'm actually looking at selling right here, guys. You can see I've got the Beta 75 XHD, and I'm selling this thing on Facebook Marketplace right now. I might actually keep it for myself if it doesn't sell for what I want it to. I'm not in a huge rush to sell it, but either way, I just haven't really flown it too much as well. And then this little whoop right here, the Beta FPV Light V2 whoop is, probably going up for sale here very soon as well. I'm experimenting with different camera mounting, and I need to go ahead and get a new little UFL antenna for the video transmitter on here as well. So that's about it for the quad department. Let's go ahead and move on to some more planes here. I know with all those quads, it's definitely getting to be a long video, so we're just going to go ahead and speed this thing up. FT Vector, haven't flown it. Let's go ahead and move on to the FTScout. I'm actually working on the build for this thing tonight, and hopefully we'll be able to go out and maiden it tomorrow. And with Alexander, and then I'll have another video just like the recent FT Mustang video with all the chase footage and things like that. I think that video turned out pretty well, but I still need to go ahead and part this one out, put it all into the new airframe, and hopefully that'll be good to go. Now for the Mini Scout here, I've only ever flown this thing once, so I will be flying it again hopefully here soon, but it looks like it had some hanging rash while I was away. We've been working on this little sub panel, the electrical panel, so I'm guessing some sort of tools got into the wing right there. Not a really big deal, but I still need to go out and fly that a little bit more. For the Vigan, I haven't flown it. I don't really have too many plans to fly it. It's been over a year and a half since I built that thing, and I've probably only put like 10 or 15 flights on it total, but it is nice. It looks nice and pretty right there on the wall, and I don't see it going anywhere for the most part until I want to look into another EDF setup. Now over here, as you can see, I'm not going to go over there, but we've got the FT22. I took the prop of that to use with the FT Versa wing, but then that one broke. But other than that, I mean, I've got a few minor repairs to do on it, and hopefully it will still be flying. Alright, so that's all the planes. That was a mouthful. This is a long video. I'm sorry, guys, but whoever's here, thanks for sticking around to the end. I'll reward you with a little sneak peek for an upcoming video. As you can see right here, this is a 3D printed wing, and I'm super excited to release the video. I've had some struggles with it here in the past. You might be able to see in there, I've got some purple 3D printed parts from my first initial failure flying this. I'm still trying to find out the CG, and the problem with this as compared to foam board is that you get it up in the air and then you crash, it just shatters to pieces, and then you have to go ahead and reprint everything once again. Like I said, I am running the electronics off of the Walmart wing in this airplane, so the 2207 motor, and then a 30 amp ESC and receiver and all that stuff in there as well. So we're gonna have to go ahead and get something to put in that wall wing back up there as well. But other than that, that's pretty much going to do it for this wing. I'll hopefully have a video coming very soon talking about success or failure. Again, I still have yet to get this plane up in the air and land it successfully, so we'll see, but stay tuned for that video if you guys are interested in all things 3D printing. And of course, I'm also making some new 3D printing videos now that I brought my 3D printer home with me. So it's been really nice being able to print like GoPro mounts and all my flight tests, like firewalls and things like that there as well. So really excited to be back with that. On top of that, that's gonna pretty much do it for this video, guys. That was a lot of talking. If you guys stayed to the end, hey, thank you so much. You are truly loyal subscribers. If you guys know anybody that would really like and benefit from my content, I'd really enjoy and really like it if you guys would go ahead and recommend that they subscribe to the channel. And if you're not already subscribed, please go ahead and do that yourself. We're about 1,250 subscribers right now, which is really good. We've seen a lot of growth in these past few months, and I'd like to keep it up. I'll be cranking out the content pretty much every single day, guys, so make sure to go ahead and tune in, maybe even turn on that notification bell if that's what you're into there as well. So yeah, that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, make sure to go ahead and comment down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.